Good afternoon or good early evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Diversity
and equity.
in Education. My name is Denise Thomas, and sitting next to me on the other side is
April Cobb with April's Beauty Bar. How are y'all doing today? And we're being hosted by the wonderful.
fantastic and phenomenal Bianca Goofy of Teaching for the Culture. And this evening, we are going to be exploring a lot of what's been happening in America and what's been happening with COVID-19, and especially a lot of the questions that we have pertaining to the education secretary's decisions, the president's decisions, as well as specifically relating to us in Hillsborough County. What's happening now in terms of us going back to school? And so today we're going to bring on educators, we're going to bring on parents, we're going to bring people on who really want to express their opinion regarding this particular topic. So April, go ahead.
So I know that on yesterday, board member Karen Perez, which is I believe is District 6, if I'm not mistaken, and that holds a countywide seat. She posted on her page an inquiry from to ask teachers, how they feeling. So therefore, we wanted to we already had planned to have that discussion on our platform here, but we just went ahead and said, why not do it today? So our primary purpose for the discussion, like Denise said, is we want teachers to take a moment to express how they are feeling, teachers and parents, how they are feeling as we prepare for reopening. And our first guest is going to be Seth. So if we can have him go ahead and link into the conversation.
Hello, how is everybody doing?
We're good,
Welcome, Seth.
Seth. We're trying to see if your video is going to connect as well.
Just a second. Can everybody hear me?
We hear you, so you could go ahead and speak. Hopefully the video picks up in a little bit.
Okay. So the question is about returning to school and the feelings associated with it.
Yes.
So I'm from two different camps. I did not like e-learning at all. It drove me a little crazy because I'm an extra introvert. I need to be around people. And so I missed interacting with the kids, and I was worried about the kids' psyche. On the other hand, an August start date puts us at risk. The two risks that I really want to emphasize to anybody who's listening, stakeholders or government officials, an early August start basically gives us 1 week to make sure that everyone understands COVID operations. There's a reason why up north that they start after Labor Day, because it gives them time to understand new policies and procedures. If we could, as a state, possibly push back our start date to the last week of August, or even do a soft open, meaning that we allow some kids on campus the last week of August, I think that teachers would feel more comfortable instead of trying to learn all these different procedures in a matter of a week, because pre-planning starts July 31st. And if any teacher knows, in pre-planning, you have to learn, you have to understand new policies, new procedures, there's new curriculums going on. So starting back to September 1st seems like a logical idea. Economically wise, I see, and I'm saying this kind of with a wink, economic wise, I understand where that perspective comes from. But we also have to understand that if we put people back to work with the situation as it is, we are going to incur a financial deficit because we're going to have to include FMLA benefits in case someone does get it. We're going to have to increase workforce because we have to provide those extra people for when those individuals get COVID. If you close down the school, that means you still have to pay those salaries because it is in negotiated contracts. So while I understand that, yes, the economy has to go on, we are potentially facing a bigger financial deficit opening rather than waiting till September.
Thank you. That's an excellent assessment And we really appreciate it. And you know, your camera froze a little bit, but we heard every single word that you said. And we do understand the concerns. Those concerns are shared with a lot of people as well. We have a lot of people who have joined in the conversation and also who are viewing today. So thank you, Steph. And we do, I know you may be having to run a little early, but we do have another a teacher, I'm assuming, who has yes, we do. Another teacher who is now waiting, who also wants to join the conversation. So we'd like to bring him in as well. And this is Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, welcome to the conversation.
Ladies, how you doing, ladies? Can you hear me?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
Yes, we do.
That's my
Love
brother,
it.
y'all. I love your hair. I haven't seen you in so
I love
long. Air
Yes,
hugs. I
go ahead.
miss you so much. I miss you so much.
Man, I miss you too. How you
I
doing,
know,
D?
I know. I love this right
Good,
here
good,
just
good.
dampened our summer so much. Like, oh my
I
That's
know.
God.
right. That's right. That's right. So tell us about your feelings about school opening up. What's going on?
Ah, man, you know, it's not even really like about me, it's about my children. You know, I'm thinking about my
Okay. Hmm.
kids because if one of my babies gets sick, you know, it's a whole different feeling for me.
Hmm.
As, you know, as you all know, my wife, she, you know, she's a full-time probation officer. You know, of course, I'm a teacher, so we was okay with the 40-60 plan, you know, where, you know, they go 40% of the time, they stay
Hmm.
at home 60% of the time. So we were going to work that one out. But when you actually fill out the intent, that wasn't offered. So I was
Hmm.
kind of like boggled by that, and that boggled my wife too as well, because we was both like, this is not what they said the model was going to be. They gave us a choice, and we wanted to do the 40-60, but we didn't get that choice. So my wife and I said, well, we you know, we're gonna have to do. We're gonna try the full time face to face, but if the numbers goes up, we're just gonna pull them and just put them in full virtual. And my wife was like,
Hmm. Hmm.
she'll
Now,
rearrange her
question
schedule.
about that. The question about that, Mr. Davis, is according to the Declaration of Intent, that is an 18-week commitment. So, with that being said, if your child enters doing brick and mortar or site-based e-learning, they are, in so many words, locked into that decision until January. So, what do you feel about that?
Well, one thing, you know, Hillsborough County ain't the only school system. You know, there's so many different schools out there that offer other situations for better for my kids, so I can easily put them in a charter and be okay with it. I can put them in any. They got so many K-12 e-learning systems out there. Their option is not the only option out there. So I'm not really
Hmm.
worried about them getting educated. I don't think they're going to get educated some type of way, but you're not going to put my kids' lives or in jeopardy, you know. So that's one thing. And so
Hmm.
I'm not. To me, you know, if I see something happening, I'm not going to be that parent just waiting for my child to get COVID. No, I'm just going to pull
Mm -hmm.
them. And
Okay, good. Now
no,
you're
I'm
an
not.
educator yourself.
Huh?
What you're an educator yourself. How do you feel now of going from the parent side to the educator side? What how you feel?
As an educator, right now,
Be honest.
to be honest with you, I really don't really have any words. It's just more the lines of they're just playing with people's health. That's the number one thing that comes to my mind. I think about like, okay, if a
Hmm.
kid comes in sick, you got one cough, and you really ain't got that one cough, get out.
Yeah.
I'm, you know,
We
they
think
talk
alike.
about you got this little waiting area if they sick. I mean, it's gonna be a whole
Bye
bunch of
bye.
kids down there because I'm not gonna wait to get it. And you know, Cobb knows
Hmm.
my medical history, you know, and it is no secret that, you know, like the last, for those who don't remember, the last pandemic we went through was H1N1, and that was taking people out.
Hmm.
I actually had H1N1. I caught it from a
Mm
seventh
-hmm.
grader.
Yep.
And
Wow.
for those who don't know what that feels like to have a virus of 14 days to run through your system, my child was 9 months. I had what 9-month-old baby, and I'm a sixth grade teacher, and I remember checking on this kid, and the kid was walking delirious. I'm like, "You okay?" And the kid was like, "I'm fine." He went off to class. 2 days later, I started having symptoms like as if it was like a sinus infection. I go to
Mm.
the med clinic. The med clinic people tells me, "Oh, I think you got the flu." I'm like, and it's like late August. I'm like, "You can't catch the flu in August." I'm like, I said, if you don't give me this, what was a Z-Pack? I kept on asking what a Z-Pack. They're like, no, we're gonna test you, see what you got. I tested positive within less than 30 seconds for H1N1. And within
Wow.
days, I can remember my dad coming from Mobile, Alabama to take my son. I remember I had to quarantine myself. My wife had to take care of me from a different room. I remember the fever. I remember the pain. That's one thing I remember. I remember how painful it was. No matter what I did, I remember just like I could take an aspirin. I was still like the touch of my hair hurt.
Mm.
And you know, and that it's kind of like shocking me how like people just playing with people's lives. And I remember what that felt like. And I'm like, oh, COVID is not gonna. I'm not playing with COVID because I remember H1N1. So, so
Yeah.
if that's the case, then you know, when it comes down to us, one, you know, I feel like I'm gonna come in there, you know, because this is part, you know, my livelihood, and I'm gonna go in there and do my job. But a lot of things, I'm not gonna lie to you, parents may not be happy with me with. It's like kind of like doing the full scope of my job, like the circulating of the room. That's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. If they want a pencil, I'm gonna give you that pencil, but you're gonna come and get it through this little. I'm gonna, you know, for Cobb knows, you know, I'm kind of handy.
Like a little bank window.
Right. Yeah,
There you go.
You know, like if you go into the store, the glass, plexiglass, the PVC pipe.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna pass it through there with the gloves. You can keep the pencil. It's just you know, it's just how it's gonna have to be until you know things can like you know show some type of normalcy.
Correct. This could be one of those situations where, and I know we have another teacher that's on here waiting as well. Actually, we have two, as a matter of fact, are waiting. But it's just going to be one of those situations where if admin decides they're going to do walkthroughs this year, which I'm quite sure they won't, but you'll be seeing a lot of teachers sitting at a desk because ain't nobody circulating to catch anything. Okay.
Right.
But thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Davis. Guess what? We're going to go get Deborah on. She's waiting, and then we're going to go to Audra Lewis. Okay. But thank you so much for chiming in and giving us your opinion on how you feeling. All right.
Bye, ladies.
See you later. Bye. I think we have next, we have Deborah Siri. She is from Pasco County. Hi, Deborah. How you doing?
Good. I'm in Polk.
You can hear me?
Polk County.
Polk County. I'm sorry, Polk County.
Yeah.
Okay, Polk County. Tell us your perspective on going back to school, first as a teacher and then as a parent of a young child. Go ahead.
Well, it's really hard because Polk has made no decisions whatsoever. Like we have no plans, no options. We have a school board meeting on the 14th. So I'm guessing they're going to give us something to give us an intent. They our PEA has emailed us out and they said that they are going to require a mask. I just find that is really hard to enforce, you know, to begin with. But and that they're going to ask for intent for where the teachers want to go via either. It sounds like it might have an e-learning component, our district online teaching as well. So, and then they're trying to work out how do they prioritize people who are at high risk. So, and I know like on my campus, I can tell you alone, I know like at a minimum 3 diabetics that I'm just, you know, that worries me. So, and then,
and then my question for you is, as it relates to just thinking about the first day of school, going back in, what are your top 3 concerns? Like, it's your first day of school, you have arrived on campus, you know, we know things being normal is just not going to be just that. There's no new, it's going to be, even the new normal isn't going to be normal. So what are your top 3 concerns?
Class size is my biggest concern. With a lot of like what I'm seeing is like 70% of people still want to send their kids back. That's worrisome because, you know, the CDC guidelines are like, well, 10 kids in a class. And I know that the YMCA, they were doing summer camp and they just had an outbreak, but they've been doing daycare services for those essential workers since March. So they have been doing this and they have done a pretty good job. But they've very much limited the kids. There's only 9 kids in a group. They don't interact with each other. And I just don't see how in middle school that's even going to happen. I've watched my students get a hot Cheetos bag, right? They all put their fingers in the look, you guys already know, right? Everybody, lick it, and then they whip the bag, right? Open and then lick the bag. And I tell people, look, I tell people this, they're like, that doesn't, I'm like, dude, I could take a video any day of the week of this happening because, you know, they want to share. And I think that's my second biggest concern is the kids want to interact with each other. How am I supposed to, nope, you can't, you got to be 6 feet apart. You can't do group work. And in a math class, it's like, I have to change my whole teaching style then because it's like, you can't help your peer. You can't talk to each other unless you're this far apart. I think that's my other biggest concern is because, like, how do you keep them apart? How do you keep them from not like hanging out in the hallway? And they're like, "Oh, just tell the teachers to keep them moving." What do you think we do in the middle of the
all day on a regular basis? And then the proximity thing, that's how also we keep them moving by us being near them. And now you're saying that we also might not need to be near them, which is like, okay. These are things that people who are in upper level positions are not thinking about as well. Yes. So as a parent, I know you're talking about your daughter going to daycare, right?
Yeah. So
how do they handle that?
I've been blessed. She goes to an in-home daycare. There are 6 kids.
So it's like a family. That's more family style.
Yes.
So the daycare worker basically has, you know, the control over, you know, it's just like going to grandma's house. That's what that is. With limited amount of people in and out. So that's perfect. I get that.
So but she was supposed to go to VPK this year. She's eligible for VPK for August, and I decided not to put her in. My cousin, her daughter goes to the same daycare, so it's my cousin's 2 kids. So that's 2 of the kids out of the 6 that are there. One of them belongs to my actual daycare, like it's her son. So like the group is so small, and I know all of the people there, and I feel comfortable dropping her off there every day. Like they're not even letting us go into. I mean, it's someone's house because it's in home daycare, but they're not even allowing the parents to come into the house. They're like, we're like at the door. We're like, bye. And my daughter walks right in. She loves it. And I'm super happy. But for me, it was like, well, what happens if I'm a parent? I send my daughter to VPK and then her school's out for 2 weeks. What am I supposed to do? Well, what happens if my school's out for 2 weeks? I have to inform that school and then they're out for 2 weeks. And I don't know, and this is still up in the air. And I know a lot of districts have no answer to this. And I know you posted about that's about the Boston, and hers like, well, what's the plan, and it's like, I feel like for her it's like when your parents ask you, or you ask your parents, hey, what's for dinner, and they're like, food, and it's like, well, okay, but like
that's the plan. Yeah, that's the plan they have. Exactly. Thank you, Deborah. But April, do you have any other questions because we have like 3 teachers in the waiting room?
Right. I just think that it's very important for our people that are watching our small group here to just envision what it is that Deborah said, that she has the opportunity or, the blessings or the favor to have a small center where her child is dropped off and she's comfortable with that. She's not having to worry all day and be in constant angst to be concerned to say, how is my child doing? Now, with that being said, think about the parent that don't have that.
Right.
How are we traumatically being responsible as a district, as a, culture of people, as a community to put educators in that position where now they have to decide my family or someone else's child? That creates a bitter teacher within itself.
I'm honestly, I have been looking for other jobs elsewhere, and I love teaching. This would be my 6th year, and it hurts, but.
Oh, don't cry.
Don't. We have no tears. Crying.
No, teachers aren't allowed. And that's the thing. We're not. We're just supposed to just accept it and say, show up.
No emotions. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the thing.
After this past week, they asked me who my beneficiary were for my
Florida retirement
system. I've been with Florida retirement for 7 years. 7 years. I was with Hillsborough for 3. This is going on my 3rd year with Polk. Why are they pulling the reports this year?
Right. Jesus. Why are you asking for beneficial? And that's the thing that keeps me up at night. Oh, Deborah, we love you. We just
love you too.
Just hang in there, okay? Hang in there. We're gonna bring another teacher in, okay? I see. Thank you so much, honey. Mwah. Love you. So we have next. I think we have who is next, Mr. White? Oh, Audra.
We
Hey,
have
Miss Lewis.
Audra.
How are
Hey.
you?
Before we go
Audra
on,
Lewis.
ladies, hold on just a second. Let's say hello to some
Okay.
people because
Oh,
we have not done that.
Yeah, do
Hi,
comment.
Audra. Welcome. So let's say
Hi.
hello to some people. I'm trying to go to
hang
the
on.
comments. My Wi-Fi says slow down, girl.
Right.
All right.
Say
So
hello.
we have Deborah Sims. We have Gretchen. Teacher for the
Mhm.
Culture has posted quite a few questions. But well, we could dive right in with you with that question. Audra says, how will social distancing work in classroom? And wait, before we pose these questions, we're asking her
Yes.
these questions as if you've been, based upon what you've received from your school site, the district, I would like you to answer these questions. That's how we'll do that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Audra, how will social
That's
distancing
funny.
work in classrooms with more than 10 to 15 students?
I have no idea.
Are you sure?
I'm sure because
Mhm.
I've received no direction. I'm at a new school coming up this coming year. I'm not going to be with Denise anymore. And I'm going to high school and I've received no direction. And it frightens me. I ended up crying last week. I've not let this bother me until last week. I just,
Right. Believe me, we oh boy. Like my father used to say years ago, tears are for 4-year-olds and funerals, but at this point in time, that's how we all feel. So tell us a little bit from just how do you feel going into the classroom, and then also as a parent who have to send your child to a public school.
I'm frightened. Last year, my husband had multiple lung surgeries. He was in ICU all last summer. I went to work. I started back to school and didn't miss a day. Everybody's like, how, why are you here? You should be at TGH with your husband. Oh, I'm going right. Soon as the bell will leave, I went. And I was there every day for those kids. But now I'm frightened because this will kill him. He's lost 30% of his lung capacity. And I don't want to bring it home to him. And we already know. I mean, the first day of school, if I can just think about the first day of school last year, where I had a tiny space and I had 40 kids through 3 different periods of the day. Because
and
they don't
before they even balance out the class size.
We just have to wait for them to balance classes and see who shows up. So they just stick kids wherever. So I'm on, like, I've never been scared, and I'm scared.
And that alone should be a moment of what I'm going to refer to as soul searching for individuals that are making decisions like this for us. Yes. And I get the whole economy thing. I get that. But that should make us question, those in leadership, that they have summoned us to a job responsibility that is deadly. It imposed us being placed in a situation where if we don't go back, there's risk to that. And if we do go back, the question becomes per family, are those risks higher for you? And do any of us have a genuine response to that to say what the answer is? No. But what we do know is that the positive rates have created a big influx in the Florida area. That's one fact that we know. And what we also know is it just seems as though the people that went to school for medical degrees, they're being ignored.
Yeah. Well, we're ignored, Cobb. You know that. We're ignored. We went to school for educational degrees, and we're ignored on a daily basis on the needs and the advocates of what our students we serve need. So I'm honestly, I mean, shooter drills, I'm down. We've gone through a lot of different things over the past few years. No fear. I've never been afraid. I've been physically attacked twice in 2 years. Did I come to school the very next day? I certainly did, with my bandages or my armor on. I've never been as scared. And as this clock is ticking, the closer we get to July 31st, I'm freaking out.
And the thing about it is we have we just don't know what to expect. And remember, we're panicking right now, and the school hasn't even started. We have to go into pre-planning, and because, like, for example, in Arizona, a teacher just died. There's, in our building, how we have with the pass throughs where you can share classes, you can walk straight through. Well, in Arizona, it was three teachers. They shared a common space. One has died. The other two are sick. And so, and this is all, and the school isn't even fully in session yet. So these are the things that just concern.
Yeah, and the thing of it is, we're supposed to make decisions. Like April probably had to make this decision. What am I supposed to do with my children? Because now I have to make a choice of how their learning is going to look for them when I don't even know what learning is going to look in the district. And how am I supposed to make the best choice possible for my two kids? I have a rising third grader and a rising junior. So, and I know, I don't even know. Honestly, fourth quarter was so hard because my older one has a 504 plan that was being ignored from quarter 1 through quarter 3, and it was definitely ignored in quarter 4. And I reached out to Deborah Mitchell, who's the supervisor of ESE services, who assured me that my child's work would be graded and that she would receive a grade for the 150 pages that she printed out and turned in that never got a grade for her chemistry class at TBT. And mind you, still ended up with an F. She ended up with an F and did every single assignment, attended every single Zoom, in addition to the extra credit Zooms, and was told that they were not participating in the grade enhancement, which she needed grade enhancement to now pass that class. So now she has to repeat semester 2 of chemistry. So that's a whole nother conversation.
Yes.
So when you guys want to do a series on students with accommodations and 504 plans and IEPs, I'll be happy to join that conversation, because that's I know that's a whole nother monster. So, but I'm thinking about that when I'm trying to make this decision of what's going to happen for her.
Right. That's tough. And I'm sorry. It's hard. It's really hard. And this is where we are. We have no answers. We have no answers.
And on top of that, you're changing everything. So now, I've been teaching 15 years, and been in Hillsborough County since 2009. I'm supposed to be an expert of my area with my master's in literacy. So you're changing everything. You're changing the platform on which I'm supposed to communicate with families that have no training on.
Correct.
Who, by the way, they haven't had training on, and families don't even know this is coming down the pipe when they had EDSB, and we spent all that time and energy training them on EDSB. Right? We're changing the curriculum. Now we're going to have to do this Achieve 3000. I don't even know what that is. I can't even stress myself out to think about that right now, because what's going to happen is enough for me, and to worry about getting my husband to his pulmonologist appointments and to the next, doctor that he goes to, like 3 doctors a week. So.
Well, God bless you. We're gonna keep it. Go ahead, April. Go ahead.
What is your thought process of the school starting back later after Labor Day? What is your thoughts on that? Do you think that would be useful?
Yes, I've said that from even when I started working in Florida in Hillsborough County. Like, why do we only get a couple days to figure out everything we're gonna do? If you're gonna change everything, then give us time to learn everything. I think pushing school back, that gives time to see what's happening with the cases. I probably would feel a little better, especially if we could attend these things Zoom while we're learning how to do Canvas, PLCs and all the new things, because I'm going to a new school with a bunch of unknowns. I don't know my new principal, because the principal that hired me is now a district leadership position. So the person that I thought I was going to work for, now I'm not working for. So I haven't even met the person that I'm working for. I don't know anybody on my new team. I don't know any of the logistics or like the backs. At least I knew if I was returning with Denise, I know what to expect. I know what to expect from students. I have a team. Like, she's my sister. Like, She's truly my family. Like she's, I just don't know.
We're the reading department.
Very serious.
We're the reading department, exactly. But you're right. When you walk into all of those unknowns, it's just like how how are we gonna make it?
There's too many unknowns. Like I don't know the students. It's a new grade level for me. Literally. So everything is new. Everything. And then I'm just carrying what's going to happen with the virus. I wish I had a teacup. I do. Look, okay, I do got one.
There you go. The tea.
I just know for me, the biggest issue that I'm having is that we're scheduled to go to pre-planning. And I know let's say hypothetically, that there was a teacher that has been a teacher or a staff member that has been identified of having a fever of over 100 and something. And there's a possibility that he or she has COVID and has been responsible for delivering various items to the classrooms for the last couple of weeks and have been interacting with office staff and custodial staff on the campus. And there's a possibility that they have contracted COVID now. So knowing that, going back to school for pre-planning, that automatically have me with hypothetically my guards all the way up, because I don't want to be involved with any of you, because I know how reckless you all are, because I've seen the pictures on social media. I've heard about the beach days that y'all had with one another and all this other stuff, like things that I know for a fact has happened. And now you want me to put myself, that have been in the house predominantly at least 95% of the time. And when I'm out, I not only have on a cloth mask covering, I also have on the N95 mask. I've not been out without those, period. Never.
Correct.
So why should I put myself at risk knowing to sit in a room with you all for pre-planning, knowing what you all have been out there doing? I know it. Not a question. I know it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So why can't we do it Zoom? Why can't we meet Zoom? Why do we have if
it was okay then?
If we're still have restaurants at 25% capacity, if we still have the parks, the stores, there's places you can't, they're like, don't let you in, they just push it out the window. If you still have all that in place, why is it okay to open schools at 100% capacity with no regards? Amen. Because we don't know, we're public school. We have to take everyone.
So and then they I understand the whole concept.
We can't turn someone away and say, sorry, we can only have 25% capacity, and we're counting people at the door, allowing them in, like they did at Walmart. So Governor DeSantis, if you're going to staff us with people at the door to count and then give us extra supplies and have an extra person to wipe down everything and big open spaces, that's not logical. And it's not going to happen.
And then the temperature checks and things like that. They're going to try to have it for teachers.
Who's going to do that? Who's going to check the temperature? And where's the procedures into that? Because at Busch Gardens, they're still doing temperature. You have to walk through with the temperature and all of that. So they're screening at only 25% capacity. So we're at 100%.
Just know that the district is not in a position financially, is what when we attend the meeting to do the temperature checks for kids. Now they're going to do it for teachers. Now my response to that is, I'm not wasting my time with that in the morning. That doesn't make sense to me, because if you're not checking the children, what are you checking me for?
And then the other thing too, for teachers like myself, who sip your tea, girl, sip it. That like teachers like myself who get in there when the custodial worker come in. Hey, I beat the nurse to school. So you're telling me that right? You know how we do. I beat the nurse to school, so I'm gonna get to school long before the nurse show up. So who's gonna temperature check me? So I mean, they're not thinking about that. We're thinking about the cafeteria. I'm thinking about what about the bathroom? And you have stalls.
Oh my God.
Okay, so you're thinking about lunchtime. You're thinking about places where the kids gather in communities. For example, computer labs. You're talking about media centers. The electric teachers who teach
the front of the school.
The very front of the school.
We tell them not to come to school, but Denise, what happens? How many we have 100 kids stand there at dark, congregating, meeting up before the gates open, and parents just dropping them off.
Right. We're gonna just stop a second because there are some comments on here. Okay, I'm sorry, Brett. I know I came off a little bit. Brett said, agreed. Our entire front office has not been wearing masks. I don't want to be around them at all. Oh wow. God. Okay. Listen, Devar says, preach it, Lewis. Deborah says they cut our budget by multi-millions of dollars. I think I missed a couple of comments because I got off for a second. But just know that, listen, okay, for example, how are they providing for us? I don't know. I dropped off this to April. I wanted to share this on the show. Hey, let me show y'all something. Watch this. This is my shield. Amazon $14.99 for a pack of 5. I just want to let y'all know. Is that stylish and fashionable? Y'all see this? Mm-hmm. Now, I can still give the evil teacher face with this mask. You still seeing it? The evil teacher face? But I mean, I'm just saying, do you see the level of personal security I'm providing for myself? I haven't even purchased a hazmat suit or anything like that. But what are the kids? Even though I do have a mask and I have my gloves, I can feel safe protecting myself. What about the kids as they enter into the classrooms? How many of them will actually come in with what they need that's necessary? And then how many of them are going to come in and, for example, with disposable masks, they might lose a mask throughout the day. Now they come in, they might have the first period.
Did you include the word might in there? Might.
They will. I'm sorry. They will. So you have just like a pencil. I give you a pencil first period. I expect you to hold it to the end of the day till 7th period. But by 2nd period, you've lost that pencil. So now you need to get another one and another one. So it's like, okay. And then, why don't we? And then I posted a video also earlier that showed the different grade levels of how they would act wearing the mask. So, elementary school, it's going to be everywhere. Middle school, they can put it right here and say, hey, look, I need 2 masks. I can make a bra. Say high school, be like, I'm not wearing this crap. And, so you just
their head.
The anticipation, right? Put it on my head. The anticipation of how they're going to act.
The hoodie over the head, and then put the mask up, so they'll be like this, and you won't have.
Yes.
What mess?
This leads to another question, which is, we told the kids years ago, no hats, no hoodies, nothing that covers your face. Now you're going to have a situation where everyone's face is supposed to be covered. Now, let's take attendance like this the first couple of days of school when you really don't know the kids.
You don't even know.
Now you're taking attendance. How you going to because I take attendance by face. Once I get your face in my mind, I'm good. But guess what? Are we thinking about taking attendance? Everybody can be present as far as I'm concerned. If y'all worry about FTE dollars, you might as well just mark everybody present, get your money, and call it a day. Hey, they all wearing a mask.
Right. But the other thing that you posted on your Facebook the other day when you talked about the subs. And, right. I put Kelly Services on blast a few years ago. And literally when I got to school that next morning, the principal secretary was like, what did you put on social media? Like, because I called out Kelly Services because a sub stole my field trip money from the day before. And so we already know that the people who work for Kelly Services are a lot of retired people. You're not going to have anybody coming to sub at all. Like, you're not going to be able to find people. Who's going to cover these classes? Who are you going to staff?
And you're absolutely right, because most of the subs I have seen that came to our school were older.
They were
people.
Retired.
You're absolutely right.
They were all retired people, retired military, retired teachers. This was their something to do to not be home all day. And of course, they never came back the next day, the second day. But
right. But also to keep in mind that they, who is going to actually, the reason why a sub shows up is because, okay, a teacher may have had a previous meeting or they're sick. 90% of the time they're sick. Now, with all this going on, how many people will the school disclose to that sub? Because you have to report the reason why you're out, where you're putting a sub request in. Okay, what's the reason? My own personal illness. That's one of the reasons, the little box they check your own personal illness. Now, once you relay that information, how many subs may really willing to pick up, wait a minute, this teacher's sick? Now I'll pass on that. Now, the question is here, is admin going to step up? Is the counselors going to step up? Your teacher, lead teacher, going to step up? Is your everybody else that works there?
According to our meeting with Mr. Davis, yes, that's what's expected of them. That's what's expected of them.
According to the meeting. But let's
it shouldn't be you should drag another teacher into the room the way you know a teacher got sick. But go ahead.
Wait, I just got a message that they're talking about reopening plan. Hold on.
Okay, let's go. Let's breaking news. Let's go.
Okay, let's see what happens. I know Sabrina has come on. It says smore.com.
Yeah, I read that.
She ordered this. Yeah. She ordered this. Sabrina ordered one of these.
Sabrina ordered that. I love Sabrina.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
So it's basically a notice, sharing that that he's thanking the parents that have already taken the time to fill out the declaration of intent, and that it's a challenging time. That they then go into the face coverings, graduations, and continue to meet with the teachers and so on and so forth. Campus health protocols, they list that. They're showing someone in the picture. Yeah.
No, they listed a special email address in there because I looked at it right before I came on because I got the text to my phone. And it also says at the next board meeting coming up on Thursday, there's supposed to be a video of what we could expect at school or what families can expect of what the classroom will look like. So that's going to be very interesting. Here's the thing.
I love how, go ahead.
Okay. The best predictor of what's going to happen in the future is looking at the past behavior. So that's that's a Dr. Phil right there, but whatever. But that's true. And so on my knowledge and experience of what has happened in the past is what I is going to expect. That's the reality of what's going to happen as opposed to what is supposed to happen. And are they still going to manipulate classroom size on classroom average? Because at our school, Denise, right, there were at least 10 instructional people who didn't have any children or classes, but were counted into the class average to make Denise and I's classes look like they were small classes, when in fact, they were not. We had very large reading classes. She laughed. Come on, they were just manipulating it on. They tried to put it on paper. They were putting it on paper.
Look, like nowadays, that ain't going down because somebody gonna snap. Again, they have to realize the traumatic stress that educators are under right now, and what may have what was fluid out back then is not going to be fluid out no more. Because people not having it. They're not having it. Right. But Audra, we have Sabrina in the background waiting to come on. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us. And hang around. We can bring you back on.
All right. So before we bring Sabrina on, we'll bring her on. Hi, Sabrina. How you doing? Hey, we're going to read a few comments that's on here. Deborah says, I have a parent that sends her son to school with a fever. Thank you for sharing. What about all the shared laptops and novels? Darlene asked, can anyone explain how the CARES program works, since Superintendent Davis mentioned that as an answer to a teacher who asked if she gets sick, would it come from her sick time? So we're going to do some more research on that, but he did mention that it's supposed to last until December. We have breakfast in the classroom at my school. The kids talk with their mouth full, and I don't want that in my enclosed space. Do I have the option of making them eat outside before they come into my room? But I seriously doubt it. Teaching for the culture, will there be a nurse in the building every day? What if you don't have enough staff? Are they going to pack them in someone else's class for substitutes? That's correct. That's interesting question. We had to beg for subs to come to the prison where I work. So you work at VJJ, Devara? I didn't know. Just let me know. Let me know where you are. I'm trying to do more research on Ben Green. Can someone help me? I don't know who that is. That's Brian Martin. Okay, Angela says, why have some counties in Palm Beach, for example, able to have e-learning for only 1 quarter? My friends teach in Palm Beach County and they're online for the first quarter. That's very interesting. Okay. And then someone says, I feel like we're being left in the dark. Davis said graduation was canceled for safety reasons, yet we are supposed to open school. Makes no sense. Also, it looks like only about 25% of parents have turned in their intent form. With no clear plan, how can parents make this decision? With the new curriculum and new grade book on the top of everything too, I wish they would give us a true answer as to what we'll be doing so that we can plan accordingly. for us to be the best teacher we can be, we need to know what we're doing. Okay, Devara says she works at Hillsborough Girls Academy. Okay, so Sabrina, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Questions to think about. So now talk to us from the perspective of an elementary school teacher and how your feelings and your fears or your concerns about returning to school at the end of this month.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. So I have a lot of concerns because I'm an elementary teacher. I'm also I have a grandparent. I'm a grandparent to 2 elementary age students. So let's talk about all of that. So for me, it's a lot because for the last 9 weeks, I helped with the supported my grandsons while their mother was working. We did it together, but a lot of it fell on me, and it's a lot. But also as a teacher with the e-learning process, I feel like that maybe if it was a different structure, it would have been better for our kids. I didn't get a lot of kids, so I'm kind of like in this catch-22 because a lot of the kids missed out on education. We didn't get a lot of participation, so it bothers me that in light of everything going on that it's the kids. Like, how do we help them? How do we, like, I feel like if we go to e-learning, which is necessary, I understand that the kids, or we're losing them because we're working with them, but they're watching more videos, they're on more YouTube, they're making more TikToks, so their brains are still being deviated to a whole nother place. So it's a lot in my head to try to manipulate. My youngest grandson starts kindergarten this year. So while e-learning is successful for the other one, he's pretty smart. He can do it. I can just tell him what to go do and he's fine. The other one, it's like, for me, I'm thinking, okay, so if we choose not to send him back to school, then I feel like a lot of that's going to fall off on me. But then I'm also a teacher trying to figure out how to structure. So I feel like it's just a lot. It's overwhelming. It's mentally, I'm just like, all over the place. How am I going to teach my kids? I was in primary, I'm moving to intermediate. So that's a whole nother, level for me. And what does that look like? How do we go to the bathroom? How many are they going to all fit in the classroom? What, am I going to be able to do? I need to put a shield around me so that, am I going to have some plexi plate around me to make sure?
Right. Or a bubble.
Right. So to be honest with you, like, I'm thinking about it daily. I wish that there was a way for us to do both. I feel like the kids need both. I really do. I feel like we need to have like the 40-60 idea. And I know that's not the idea, but I felt like that would have been better for our kids because then we can kind of give them a little, especially elementary, middle, high school, maybe they're better online, or it would have been easy, but like for elementary, I feel like some of the, what they need, that structure in the beginning is what they need. So if we could have did like a 40-60, we could have still had them come in and help out. One of my coworker friends mentioned that another thing that we're missing is the education of the parents. So when we sent home these laptops and we said, do this, so the parents aren't educated, so how can they help them? So she was saying that even if we did e-learning, maybe we could have some of the parents come in and educate them, or even the students come in and educate them so that they can go back and know what they're doing versus here go the laptop, and trying to talk to you over a screen that, all of the kids know how to do is TikTok and some videos and YouTube. They don't know how to control, alt, delete, and save this and send a file and send your work over. And so she was saying, even if you're going to do e-learning, maybe at least have the kids so they understand, so they're not just completely lost. And we're trying to teach them on our end how to do all this stuff that they don't have access to. So it's just like a lot. I feel like we missed some things, so it's a lot. That's when I don't have really, if you ask me, people, I don't have a yes or no definitive answer because there are so many things that we're missing, On
average,
do you
how many
feel that
students do you have in your class? I'm sorry. I'm gonna get real quick, April. How many students on average do you have in your class?
Okay, so I teach at a smaller school, so our average numbers are maybe 300, 350. So last year we had about maybe 13, but before, like 16, but I've never had maybe more than 20 in my class. Now kindergarten is usually a little higher, so they may have 20, exactly 20 kids in their class, but I've, normally about 14 or 15. But in primary rooms, the rooms are bigger. So we take those same 14, 15, 13, 14 kids I had last year and try to move them up to intermediate where the rooms are smaller. We might have a little bit of, in my head, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to move the desk, how I'm going to sit them so that they're 6 feet apart. Because to be honest with you, in the classroom that we have, I don't know if we can put 15 desks in there and your desks that we have for our centers or our guided tables. And
centers should be no longer.
Well, not centers.
No longer.
I didn't mean centers. I mean like still like if I need to pull a student over for a one-on-one small group, that table. So we used to have
small group should be no longer too, though, right?
What you just said though is a prime example of how we as teachers think. We think collectively and collaboratively, but what they don't understand, now we got to completely shift your frame of mind. You're saying to me, I can't even teach effectively. You're not, it's like, and also, am I going to get the same results? Because the way you want me to teach now, I might not even get the same results because I'm not teaching the same way and using the same strategies like I used before. That's first and foremost, but also now we have to completely shift. And that's what other people outside are not thinking about. You're not thinking about the way we teach, which produces results based on now. All right, April, I know you had a question.
So my question is, if Bianca could put up that post that a fellow educator here in Hillsborough County had made about her thoughts about a will. So do we have that available to pull up? So read that, Sabrina, and tell me how you feel. That's one teacher talking to another. How does that make you feel?
Is this what she's showing right there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this is not with the wheel people. Is this the right one, Bianca?
Yeah. This is a teacher talking.
Okay. This is a teacher responding to
I mean, I feel like, to be honest with you, I understand the concerns of the teachers. I even have my own concerns. I'll be honest with you. We are living in a unprecedented time, so there's a lot of fear on our end. But for those, my thing is this: I'm afraid to go back to school, not of the unknown. So I don't have fear as some people have fear because, I don't operate in fear. Most people know that I'm very spiritual, but wisdom is key. And so my thing is, I feel like there's some wisdom missing. So yes, we should be concerned about, how this is going to impact us. And I believe the fact that we're interacting with each other on a daily basis, like somebody said, about the little ad that the governor keeps producing, like, he said the kids are going everywhere else, why can't they go to school? And so the response was, it's not for 7 hours. And so I feel like the amount of time that we're spending together needs to be taken into consideration. So even if we would go for like a half a day, I just feel like there needs to be more wisdom implemented, because I look at all the sides. So for the parents who are going back to work, what are they going to do with their kids? And I understand that we're not babysitters, but the normal trajectory of life is that maybe the kids are in school or they're in some type of a learning atmosphere or some type of a place. So I feel like we have not put enough wisdom into how we can make this work so that our lives are not at stake. Because I'll be honest with you, I got high blood pressure, and I'm older. I'm not 25, what I'm saying? So I have to look at my health as well. So I'm not ignoring that fact, but I'm also looking at the fact of, what are we doing to educate our kids? How are we going to educate our kids? Because if we choose to do e-learning, we need to do it right this time. That's my thing. Like if we're going to do e-learning, let's do it right. Let's make sure the parents are educated. Let's make sure the children are educated, and then we can proceed with e-learning. And then maybe we can what about phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 for returning to school? We can phase back into the school system. So I'm not the person that says don't go, but I am the person that like, for example, we do run out of paper towels. So now this year we're not going to run out of paper towels, and I have a little ADD in me, and every time a child sneezes, even I taught primary for like, that was my whole first part of my teaching, and so I'm used to like having like eyes all over the place. Like I see a nose running, I see a sniffle, and as soon as I see it, and this is before all of this, I'm like, Saint, please, sanitizer, please. It's automatic. And like even my kids understood that. They were telling each other, oh, go, because I had set up in my head because of the germ issue. I heard some of the other teachers talk about that before, and especially with primary students, they're always running their nose always running. They always coughing on people, and I had sanitizer on my desk, and that was my sanitizer for me. It was sanitizer in the room, like in other spots.
Right.
You get to come straight to your desk and do this. Let me get your stuff. Yeah. Because why? Your stuff prettier. You got a prettier bottle. It's bigger. You got the best lotion. But your lotion over there, your hand sanitizer over there. Why you over here? So yeah, we totally get that. I mean, okay. So Sabrina, I think
hold on, Denise. So I want to go back to what you said though, Sabrina. You said that based upon the normal trajectory of life, that school-age children would be in school, and that is a normal factor that we have, embedded in our culture. But what we have to remember is there is no normal anymore. So that trajectory, just like along with how the weight of the world has shifted into a different direction and variations of careers and, restaurant seatings and beaches closed or what have you, parents also have to start considering that new direction of doing things. Right. And just how we're put at short notice to figure it out as it relates to trying to figure out how to educate these kids. And no one's talking about getting rid of standardized assessment for 2020-21. I don't know why that's not at the forefront of the conversation, because a lot of these babies that are returning are so traumatized by all of this. It's going to be beyond belief. And unfortunately, we're going to see it more so amongst the children that have already been negatively impacted based upon the quality of education that they've received thus far in our district. And who are those children? Who's reading below? Who has the vast majority of the referrals? Who's identified as the pipeline to prison? Who are they?
They're our kids. They're my kids, the ones I teach. So I definitely, I don't want it to don't get me wrong. I am really concerned about returning to school. I have a family member who we are still praying, so, I mean, I'm there with you. But my whole thing is we have to, it's us. I feel like it's the teachers fighting by ourselves. What about the parents? What are your fights? What are you going to do? And how are you going to help us help your kids? Don't just say I want my kids to go to school because I want you to babysit them. Well, I want them to go because this is how I'm going to help you. This is what I'm going to do my part. And I feel like the biggest problem, like even for us, like for the kids, like the schools, I teach it, of course, I'm at a transformation school this year. So how many parents are going to make sure they have the mask and they're clean? Because they, like their masks come to school. I feel like I got to be on my list. Can I get extra masks? Because if you walk through my door without one, you got to put one on your face. So, I mean, I'm looking at all of this stuff. It's not just like, well, they should come to school. There is going to be a fear when they come through that door, like, okay, or, I mean, are they clean? Do they have a cold? Do they have a fever? Well, maybe we need to spend $30 on the thermometer so every teacher can have one and hit your forehead when you come through the door. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's what we need to do. And it's not, to me, I don't even think it's just the kids. What about other teachers that you're going to be in contact with that, that may have symptoms?
Because hypothetically on several district campuses, there are adults that have been carrying around COVID in different sites, and there's a nurse allegation that brought it into their site. So I just want people to understand that if you think for one remote minute that COVID does not already exist on some of our campuses,
in some campuses,
you're insane to think that. And my thing next is, and once you have COVID at one school, the two-pack even thought about this.
Like you said,
when they said that if one classroom get COVID, and all those kids go home. But what if I rode to school with some of those kids that's in that class that, like, none of the logic doesn't make sense? And I'm trying to figure out, how do we expect to have trust in what the leaders make decisions that they're making for us when they are not supported scientifically? Like,
So
that just doesn't make sense to me.
That's what you just said. Where's the wisdom piece in what we are?
Right.
I just feel like I
Right.
said, I feel like there's missing pieces. You know, I feel like that we should have kept the 60-40 as an option. I don't think the 5 days, that I will say that I don't think 5 days in a row but I'm not the superintendent, I'm not the governor. You know, I don't think the 5 days in a row was an effective idea. I think we should have, you know, started small to see, you know, how this was, and make sure the school is ready, because now you're saying you could barely keep those sanitizers and all this stuff. We're gonna need I can't even imagine how many multiples of, you know, that we'll need for that. So maybe even if we did 2 days a week, that would allow us to make sure we have enough for all of the schools and all of the students. And then, you know, with that, now we are prepping the kids so that when they do go home, they know how to use the internet, they know how to do their work. So now they have some stuff, and then it's limiting the interaction between the students and even between us teachers. So I feel like that that maybe with the voices that are being said, maybe they'll reconsider. And definitely, I wanted to speak to what you said, April. Definitely no testing. How fair is it to test these kids when their education is not going to be fully? They're not going to have the full extent of their education. So how fair are we to say we're going to test you, minus the fact that your last 9 weeks was okay?
Pretty much a wash.
And then now with all this going on, we're still going to test you. Some of the kids are still going to do virtual. I just don't think that I think that we should take testing off the board for another year. Maybe we can do, you know, I don't mind us, you know, checking in with the kids and making sure that they're learning. You know, some
district testing, but I just don't think the state test should be even included in the factor. Because you're gonna have BAM scores plummet. BAM scores are going to plummet. So we do have we do have
another teacher on.
Yep. So let's go ahead and bring him on. We greatly appreciate your input.
All right,
thank you.
And before he comes on, just to one point, Janice Johnson said, "Why is virtual learning an application approval process and not guaranteed for those parents who are not comfortable with sending their children to school but have the capabilities to educate at home?" So just saying, hey, I'm not even gonna apply or make a choice. Just saying, hey, I can do this on my own, and that is something else. But to speak to that point about in Virginia, or I think it is Virginia, in one school district, the superintendent is actually, school is only available for 3 days a week, and for 2 days a week, and every other day they're going to be home. So all right, so are we ready to bring him on? Is he still on? All right, come on and welcome and welcome and welcome. Good evening. Are you there?
It's taking a minute to connect.
Okay. But let me see here. Oh, might have lost him. All right, here we go.
So, one of the biggest things I do know that I think that parents and, you know, everybody that's involved in this entire process, from a parent's perspective, I'm given limited information in order to make a decision for my child. But again, I always say that the key stakeholders outside of the student, the teachers, have limited voice in what's being shared as it relates to us going back to school. And I think that that's why we've lost a sense of security in that overall thought process. So we'll see what happens. Welcome.
How you doing?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes,
we can.
How y'all doing?
Great. We are here in these house streets.
We here. That's right.
Yes, a lot of crazy going on right now.
Yeah,
so tell us your how you feel, first of all, as an educator, and then as a parent, as a pastor. Just how do you feel about what's the reopening of schools is coming up soon here in Hillsborough County?
I got a whole lot of just emotions, everything wrapped up into this. On one end, you know, I understand, you know, the achievement gaps that would widen without the kids being brick and mortar face to face. On the other end, which I think is the more, you know, severe, is the true health threat that this presents and poses to our school sites. Anybody who steps foot on the campus, on a bus, on a bus stop. It is truly concerning. And I think that if not anything, that we definitely have to go back and understand the motive as to why they are pushing for us to go back to school right now. And the only thing I can conjure up in my mind, in my head, is FTE.
That's what it
It all
is.
boils down
Chavo,
to money.
dinero. Exactly. There you go. Money. It's all about the money. So
And
explain what you mean.
it's sad
Elaborate
because,
on that.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's sad, because they're willing to test us, use us as test babies, for the love of money. Because if kids are not in those seats, if kids are not on campus, e-learning, I don't know how that would even play with FTE. Florida Virtual School, I know that's out. They don't receive funding for FTE. At the end of the day, all of this is about money. I don't think that they're truly thinking it through, as it relates to, how we are going to facilitate through the day. It's almost, to me, it's nearly impossible for us to safely, make it through the day. And let's not even talk about how this is another distraction that will impede upon learning. I mean, so now instead of you educated, not only, like for instance, at our school, we got rid of uniforms because they said, oh, it impedes on learning, and we're focused more on the kids' clothes, and we're taking away from instruction. What do you think it's going to look like now? Hey, stop, put that mask back on. Hey, Miss Carr, you got my mask, get my mask back. Run around the school. Now we're taking,
your mask ain't got no glitter, so your mask ain't cute.
Right. So now your mask is not as cute as the other one. Now we're taking instructional time, and we are focused on, these masks, and stay 6 feet apart, and don't. How do you stagger transitions? How do you deal with breakfast? Kids coming in mass droves off the bus. How do you deal with dismissal? How schools are not equipped to handle. We have thousands of kids. We can barely navigate through a normal day when there was normalcy. So how do we navigate under these conditions?
Hold on. I want you to say that again.
Kids, the bell ring.
Say it again.
Hold on. Say it again. We need you to say that again.
Yeah.
How do
Before COVID, I want you to say that again.
Yes. How do we navigate, with COVID, when we could barely navigate in a state of normalcy, when we were at a normal pace and place? We could safely moving kids to lunch without this or that happening, or the bell ring and you have to be on guard because this and that may break out. Now we introduce an element that is not seen, a virus that you can't see physically, but it's there, it's alive, and it's breathing, and it's going home with these children. Now you don't have to be bad to get it. You don't have to be a discipline problem to get it. You just at school learning, trying to get an education, and boom, there it is. So how do we deal with that? How do we? And we're thinking from a middle school level. And I know elementary is a little different, but middle school and high school, this is a beast because the kids are on their own periodically through the day. We're not there to tell them, hey, so we're not walking them in line. We're not telling them to hold a ruler in front of them and one behind them so you don't get close to the next person. They have to be trusted that when they go to the bathroom, are they going to wash their hands? We have to trust them. So are we ready? No. As much as I want it, trust me, in my head, I'm saying, okay, we got to get the kids, my own kids struggle with e-learning. It was a struggle. I want nothing more for them to be back in school, but I'm going to just tell you from my standpoint, I have been preaching funerals from here to there since this all broke out, right?
Jesus.
And since I've been, facilitating these funerals, I've seen services where people have tested positive, right? In one service, several people passed away, and they didn't say it was linked to COVID, but when you put the pieces together, it's okay, you were all here at the same time, and they're mourning, so on and so forth. So yesterday I had a service, another large service, and I told them, listen, do not take your mask off. If you have to breathe, please step out the church, take your mask off, take a few breaths, and come back, right? That's dealing with adults. So now how do you interpret that dealing with kids sitting in a classroom? How do you interpret that? I don't understand. Right. I don't know. But we got to come up with something else. We got to come up with a different solution. I think about our staff. I think about our parents. I think about everybody on campus. All of us are now vulnerable. All of us. Mm-hmm. And there are people with underlying health conditions that don't even know they have underlying health conditions, that are vulnerable and don't even know that they're vulnerable. So how do we deal with this? From the bus to when they get off the bus, they're going through the day to getting back on the bus at the bus stop. Let's talk about the bus stop. They hugging and they high five and they talk. How do you? I don't know.
So my question is this.
I think we need to go back to the drawing board and figure out a different way.
Right. I think he's delayed. That's all. My question to you is this. The three of us are here. We work in a middle school environment, right? So, you can't? Are you there? What about now? Can you hear me now? Oh, lost him. But basically,
Key's on here.
I'm a question. Who's in here? Key. Okay, well, bring her on. But the question I have to you is this. Have you ever been? Hey, hello. Have you ever been in a situation where you've been in school and you've just gone through the whole day and haven't touched one soul? None of us can say we've ever walked into a middle school and no child has ever touched us. No adult has ever touched us. That's an impossible situation to be in. I'm a natural hugger anyway, but and there's some kids who they're natural huggers. They want to touch you. So I can never say in all the years I've been teaching, I have gone into a day and no one has laid a finger on me. And in terms of even just walking, because remember, I'm walking to the media center. I might be walking to the computer lab, walking. You're going to come in lunchtime when you got about 300 people in the hallways. You gonna bump into somebody, and it's not even on purpose. You just happen to just book bags around, somebody book bag brush against you. It's never going to be a situation where you can control that. And even if you stagger it in one building, you stagger in your lunches or stagger in your breakfast. Well, breakfast might as well start at 7 o'clock in the morning and be done at 3 in the afternoon. Because how are you going to feed them without letting them touch each other? How's that? And then we got to talk about turning around and have lunch. So school should just be breakfast and lunch all day, no learning. But Key, you're on. How you doing? Welcome. I'm good. You don't want to be on camera? You don't want to be on camera? You good?
I got my head wrap on.
Okay,
girl, if you don't let that camera on and stop playing.
I got starter locks. So look at my hair. Girl, stop playing. Well, while you go ahead, get the wrap on. Listen, how you doing? You need to answer 2 questions for us.
You know she always got that long and lush and lavish hair. Wave it out.
That's what I'm saying. Look at it. Swing it, girl. But listen, answer a question for us. How do you feel about returning to school, and what hesitation? What's your thoughts about that? Share your concerns, your thoughts.
To me, I feel like it's impossible. I feel like, how are we gonna go back to school when today alone we had 15,000 cases today in Florida? So come on. So I don't know how it's gonna happen. I'm very hesitant, but the only thing on my mind is I have to pay my bills. But I don't know no other way. I don't know.
So what's your typical class size?
22, I guess.
By average. Between 22 and 25, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, with no plan to reduce the class size or hire additional teachers or to have, additional custodial staff, things like that. The concern is very high for all of us.
Very.
So my question for both Key and Pastor Hawkins is, as it relates to your own children, what preparations are you making for your children as it relates to, are you having conversations with them if you're anticipating on sending them back to brick and mortar? Are you having conversations with them or prepping them for Hillsborough or Florida virtual? Like, what type of conversations are y'all having with your children?
Mm-hmm. Well, for me right now, I got to be honest. I'm 100% unsure what to do. Mm-hmm. I really don't know, and I guess a part of me is just kind of like, are they really gonna put these kids back in school? Like, do I really have to make this decision? Mm-hmm. of course, this year I'm supposed to have 3 of my kids at the school with me. So that's big for me and for them as well. But then I have a kindergartner that's going to school for the first time. Yeah, so what my sister and I've talked about it. You know, she's already ordered the face mask, ordered hundreds of the the shield and the mask.
You got you one of these right here, the shield and the mask, like this right here.
So
let me get my camera for you one more time.
Already ordered
I'm
those,
modeling.
so she's ordering me some for my baby boy, because she says, hey, if he's going back to school, which she's also the educator, she wants him in the shield, the mask, all of it, because at the end of the day, what do we do? You know, what do we do with the kids if we're at work? I haven't even thought that far. I'm just waiting. I'm just like literally saying, is this really about to play out? You know, and of course I have a blended family, so I have to take in consideration their, you know, the other side of their family.
The parent, yeah.
So it makes it very difficult for us. You know, do they have the time to, you know, be there with them on the days that they have them? So it's difficult a decision, but you know, I'm still tripping. I'm like, I'm waiting on them to say this is a joke. We're going to go to e-learning, and I'm just waiting on it. I'm waiting on it. So why should we even have to make this decision?
Correct.
Right.
And the other thing too is we're looking at, what about the kids who are ESC kids who truly I have 2 students who are highly autistic, but they're very functional, but and you know, touching is a big thing for them, that you can't put anything on them. I can't foresee them putting a mask on all day long. I can't see those type of kids, you know, just different things that they need to do to protect themselves, you know. So is anybody taking those children into consideration? You know, so hey, but you know, look, is Ashley? Can we throw Ashley on here so Ashley can join the party? We've got she is an elementary school teacher. Let's get her on there. Hi, Ashley.
Y'all, I'm so nervous. Tell us nerves are up.
Let's talk about your concerns then. Go ahead.
Nerves are up. Do you know we were just sent our intent letters? And
tell us about that.
I just feel that we are the afterthought. We've been the afterthought this entire time. I'm a teacher teaching VPK right now, face to face. And it's because I have to work. But the person who's keeping my son is my aunt. She's my son's great aunt. She's a cancer survivor.
My God.
And a open heart transplant patient. My grandmother, who also watches him, is also a cancer survivor. So every day I have to go home, wash my clothes, get everything off, and hope I'm not bringing it to them. Social distancing is not happening in VPK. The mask that we were in any school. The mask that we provided, the kids keep on the entire week.
The whole week?
Wait, what?
Unless they bring it themselves. The mask that the cloth mask that the kids were provided in VPK, they keep for the week. We wash the set because we try to give them a new one each week. We wash that set, they tear. So the quality of the mask is not the best. The masks are too large for them, so we have to put rubber bands around their ears so that they can fit around their face. And I did VPK because I wanted to be brave enough, knowing that I have no choice but to work. And I also wanted to see, because my son is going to VPK, I wanted to see what his environment was going to be like. The kids cannot social distance from each other. Lunch is in the classroom, breakfast is in the classroom. The masks are filthy because the babies take the mask off with their dirty hands. They're putting them on the trays. So orange juice is on it. Everything is on it, and it's not a good look for them. They don't know, you know, the importance of keeping it clean and things like that. We only get when we go outside, they're able to go outside. We get one time where the the custodians are able to come in and kind of wipe down the surfaces. But that's just in the middle of the day. That's at 10 a.m. The kids are there from 7 to 6. So any other wipe downs are our responsibility. And right now, I mean, I'm semi-comfortable because I only have 7 kids. But what about when I'm in that first grade classroom with 20? And I'm ELA, so that means I would be responsible for 2 classes.
That's craziness. Like,
Wow.
and what are parents' feelings when they, like, how are the parents when they drop the kids off? Like, how are emotions high? Are they concerned? Like,
Emotions
how are
aren't
parents
high,
feeling?
in my opinion. I'm in the District 5 school that is holding VPK, the only one. So you figure that out.
She high. Move
Parents are
on.
just
Let's go.
exactly. Parents are just ready to get their kids out the door. I mean,
My
that's
God.
just my honest opinion. Parents are just ready to get
Wow.
their kids out the door. I'm also going to be very transparent with you and say that the first week of VPK, I was a teacher who, with the forehead scan, my temperature was 100.7, so I could not go in because after 100.4, you need a COVID test.
Wow.
I communicated that to admin. I communicated that to my principal. You need to go get a COVID test. I was told to go to the emergency room, and I was told I was not displaying enough symptoms to get a COVID test and to wait on the county's test. My COVID test, I could not get scheduled until 5 days out. My results came 3 days later. And then all it was, well, just go back to work. So I got myself tested and my son, but there's no protocols for this. One of the administrators told me to tell the emergency room people that I'm a teacher and can I get a rapid test? No, ma'am. You don't qualify for any of that.
So I just want to make sure I heard you correctly.
Yes, ma'am.
Because see, stuff like this is what get me fire hot, and then I lose my whole cool. So as of a current teacher this summer that was doing face-to-face with babies, there was no protocol in place that could expedite a quicker test for you, being that you are now identified as an essential worker. That's what you're telling me.
No, that's exactly what I'm telling you. My option was to either go to one of the private sites and whatever price they were charging me to pay. But as a teacher who is working during a pandemic, it's evident that I don't have any extra money. And when we go to the emergency room, we're told, like, they were even confused. I went to Advent Health. They were even confused on whether or not they could take me back just from displaying a symptom of 100.7 fever. So the first person who did my checkpoint said, okay, yes, you can come back. The next person said, well, no, you're not sick enough to come back because you need to be displaying more than one symptom. It needs to be a loss of taste or something else, not just a elevated temperature.
Wow.
That's not enough.
So you need to be basically half dead before they could say, well, maybe you should
basically. And I kept asking over and over. I said, well, the temperature is not enough. I'm around children. You know, I want to just be better safe than sorry. No, ma'am. The only people that they are administering COVID tests to are people who are getting ready to have surgeries and people who are coming in displaying multiple symptoms of COVID.
And this is my thing. It's not enough to hear about the number of cases and the way that they're rising. It's not enough to know somebody that has been diagnosed with COVID. But I guess my question is, I know somebody that is no longer here to speak for themselves because they are now deceased. Like when does it become important enough to take it in consideration? When we are the largest employer in the district, and we are the largest employer that meets the needs of the largest clients in the district.
My thing is this,
that's
April,
not making any sense.
Going through that entire thing, and it was like the left hand didn't know what the right hand is doing, and just having everything being up in arms. And my thing is, on top of that, we're still going to be required to do so much. When we go back in that classroom and just say, okay, well, your COVID test was negative. Let's get back to rolling. And then it was also, I don't want to sound, because it's just like it could be in a book. It was also being stated, you know, with ELA and with me being VPK and them needing to know their letter sounds. Well, you might want to try to take your mask so that the kids can see you forming. My mask won't be coming off.
No,
it won't be coming off. But it was just a suggestion. I won't say that was something that was told that I had to do. But it would just be a suggestion.
But that goes back to the level of importance that each individual takes on as it relates to being socially responsible. Because to me, that would not be a best practice in the current stage that we're in with COVID. That would not be considered a best practice for any teacher. Right. BPK, -3, I don't care what it is. That's just not a best practice right now for them. I just am so bothered by the fact that, yes, we understand everybody going to go back to work. We get that. Nobody's negating that. But we have to be put in a position that's going to do less harm than good. What do you call, like a doctor does? The ultimate goal is not to do more harm.
Absolutely.
Do no harm.
Us going back to school right now, I don't care what they say, we will be doing more harm, and the biggest impact is going to be people of color. It's going to be grandma and big mom, them, auntie and them, that have, because nobody wants to talk about the impact that it's having on the African American community. We're quiet about that. 33610 is a hot spot in Tampa right now.
Hot. 33613 as well.
Right up out of there.
Well,
you can see entire apartment complexes like that. Go ahead.
Well, no, I want to let you know I'm doing the funerals. I know it's real. I'm with the families. I know it's real. After they have not been able to see their loved ones for 3-4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, it's real, and it's happening. And I mean, something has to be done. And it's then, like you said, it's not more so the affluent areas or those affluent schools that are going to be impacted like we will be. So what are the accommodations for us?
And you know, and what's so sad about it is that they're desperate for FTE dollars. Well, if you're so desperate for these FTE dollars, why don't you push school back? Let it start later after this wave. And what people not understanding, we're just in the first wave. We haven't even hit the flu season, which is the second wave. But we're so in a hurry to get this money off these children that we were willing to. It's like I don't care about your value at all. I just care about how much money I can get out of you. Sit in that chair. I don't care if you get sick. I don't care if you die next week. I just need you to be there within that 10-day count. That's all. That's really what it is.
Yep.
And I wish parents would understand that.
I see several posts ready.
Go ahead, Key. Who was it talking? I'm sorry.
That was at me, Ashley. I was just saying, I've seen several posts just saying, ready or not, you better be ready for my child. And I mean, it's just like we don't have families of our own that we're trying to make it home to. And while I'm not negating the struggle, many of us only, I'm a single mom. I have a 4-year-old son that I have to make it home to. The VPK program that is at my site is also it's like the IPEEPS VPK, where the special needs children may be in there as well. So how would that work? Some of the kids would wear masks and some of them would not?
No.
I think we would be in a different place if they had done this the right way and considered the teachers first and allowed us to speak and to state our concerns. They did it backwards. We're the ones, without us, there is no school. And so what's going to happen, you have a lot
our
of
opinion
teachers,
doesn't count.
Right. I mean, you have a lot of teachers who are not coming back. You have teachers who are quitting, taking leave of absence. And that's going to be the real situation. We can and then we're talking about our inner city schools where we can barely get substitutes. So now who's standing in front of the kids? Because the teachers' lives matter too. So at this point, you didn't consider us in the forefront. Now in the end, what happens now? Where you still have vacancies on top of vacancies. Now you have more because people have a situation where they're not going to forsake their livelihood for their their families for the sake of risking it all.
And they could forget class coverage. Don't even ask me.
You're not gonna get that.
I'm gonna be ready to fight. As soon as you ask me, it's turning into you tried me. That's if you ask me to cover a class, that's gonna be just like you saying it's like you cursing me out if you ask me to do that.
Correct.
Wow.
Because y'all know I am the sickliest on that campus.
Yes.
They could breathe at me wrong and I'm hacking and coughing.
Yes, don't walk over here and ask me to do nothing. That's the bottom line. No, what did I say? Nothing. Okay. But
So how's your son feeling, Key, about all of this?
Huh?
So, Key, how's your son feeling about all of this?
Well, I talked to him about it. He said he don't. He's scared. My son don't go nowhere. Like my child, he's going to football practice, but that's the only place he'll go. But he don't go anywhere. Like when I went down to visit my mom, my mom live in Palm Beach County. And Palm Beach County is number 2 with the highest cases. He would not go down there. So.
Wow.
Well, my baby already know the spill.
Say it again.
I said that my baby already know the spill. Mommy, I'm ready to see my friend, but I know the coronavirus.
Okay.
Well, I will say this for those of us that are part of CTA, the ultimate goal with that declaration of intent for teachers is not to sign them right now, according to our recommendation from CTA. And that's because we need to be able to get some clarity before we start signing all these declarations of intent. They have not given us enough information for our children, so we should not be so hurriedly to sign that document for them, because we need more information to make decisions for ourselves.
Right.
Like that declaration of intent, what does that mean? I mean, because did any of us get our contracts this year?
I think, I guess something aside.
No, you didn't. I'm here to tell you didn't get it.
No.
We didn't get them.
No, I haven't read my email in 2 days. I don't know.
No, that was supposed to be given to us before the school year ended. Where the books at? We need them books. I ain't paid that book any attention all these years, but I want that book now. I need that book.
I want the big book now. The green one or the red one? The one with okay. You're right.
Yeah. Well, we thank you all. We thank you all greatly for joining us. It's going to take conversations to happen in order to help parents or individuals in our community make informed decisions based upon the transparency that we offer, that as educators, we don't know as well. It's not a secret. We just don't know. And as a result, we feel just as uncomfortable, if not more so, to make decisions for just saying, I'm going back to work. Nobody wants to put none of our children, because those children are like our own. Nobody wants to put any of those children in harm's way and not educate them. That's not what any educator that I know is saying. Our thought process is the teachers need to know that our health is put at the forefront of this first. Because if we're not healthy, we cannot be healthy enough to teach them kids. So they have to put us first, because we are the ones that have the service to offer the kids. And if we're not there, the kids aren't learning. And that's just the bottom line.
It is. And we're taking away, think about it, in Hillsborough County, we're contractually, it's 180 days of school. If you have 6 teachers, you're taking away 180 days of instruction multiplied across schools. And if teachers pass away, God forbid, you're taking away decades of knowledge. Imagine if you lost 3 teachers who have been teaching for 20 years. Now you've got 60 years worth of knowledge completely gone. You're going to start from scratch. They not even thinking along that line. So on that note, we just want to wrap up. We want to thank you all so much again for being here, taking the time out, and hopefully, thank you. Who was it that posted the question? I hope that our school board members are paying attention, listening to the concerns of the teachers that we have here this evening.
Thank y'all for joining us.
Anything else you have?
All right, y'all take care.
Have a wonderful evening. Bye, everybody.
Bye.